Okay. Um, how to promote academic freedom in America. Colleges that promote ideological conformity do students a disservice. When seeking a job to teach in the University of California system, academic excellence is not enough. Applicants must also submit a diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI statement explaining how they will advance those goals. That sounds fair enough, except that a promise to treat everyone equally would constitute a fail. Meanwhile, in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis and the state legislature are trying to ban the teaching of critical race theory, an approach to studying racism with which they disagree. While this has been going on, a row has broken out also in Florida over a new pre college course in African American studies. These three developments have one thing in common. They are attempts to win arguments by controlling the institutions where those arguments take place. Threats to academic freedom in America can come from many directions. Students sometimes object to being exposed to ideas they deem troubling. Some even try to get faculty members fired for allowing such ideas to be voiced. Donors occasionally threaten to withdraw funding, which has a chilling effect on what can be taught. Speakers can be banned. Academics may self censor or succumb to groupthink. Occasionally, American society demands restrictions on academic freedom, as when professors in the 1950s were asked to take loyalty tests to prove they were not communist sympathizers. Oh, wow. All these threats still exist. Plenty of people have rightly worried about academic freedom in America in the past. And yet, one of the things that is distinctive about this moment is that the warring parties have determined that the best way to win the argument and the most thorough way to stifle debate is to remake institutions according to their preferences. DEI statements may seem innocuous enough and their intentions may be laudable. Yet, if they are used as a filter for hiring, they will filter out anyone who fails to be the toe to the campus progressive line and anyone who objects on principle to ideological litmus tests. In Florida, Mr. DeSantis seems to be hoping that left wing professors in state colleges will go to work somewhere else, creating openings for more conservative professors. I actually do think that that's the goal, which is very strange. The Stop Woke Act, now law in Florida, bars teaching about systemic racism unless this is done in an objective manner, a qualifier which is rather subjective. Academics who cross the line will be threatened with dismissal. As for that course on African American history, a draft version was denounced from the right as dangerous woke nonsense, and then it was revised, denounced from the left as whitewashed version of black history. The notion that students might look at contradictory ideas and judge their merits was too terrifying to contemplate. Partisans on both sides seem indecently eager to create separate institutions for liberals and conservatives, where the liberals would never have to hear wrong think. Wrong think? A category that would include some of Martin Luther King's ideas, where they proposed by a less revered speaker, and the conservatives would never have to encounter the work of Derek Bell, who has as good a claim as anyone to have developed critical race theory. No doubt this would make both ideological tribes happier, but it would be a disaster for the country. That's true. Democracy depends on citizens who can find compromises. Liberalism depends on taking an opponent's argument seriously and learning from it. America needs institutions that can have these debates rather than monocultural incubators of mutually exclusive ideologies. DEI statements could even be repurposed to this end rather than asking applicants what they have done to further racial diversity and equity. Institutions of higher learning might start asking how they plan to further real diversity of thought. Okay. So, the first thing I have to say, I do not know why people keep calling things critical race theory. Critical race theory is a course taught in law schools to like third year law students. And it's basically about people who are going into public policy have to take that class so that they understand how sociologically the people they are defending in court have faced oppression, basically. So there's no such thing as critical race theory in kindergarten or K through 12. Those people can't read yet, so they're not taking critical race theory. I don't know why people keep throwing that term out around. That's people. They really sound stupid. All the people who keep saying that, I don't. I'm for the life of me, I can't understand. Okay, here's the second thing, the course on African American studies. Now, I just don't think that this is necessary at this point because there's like that Princeton course on an African American studies is like available free and it's great. It's got literature, text. Anyone who wants to take the course can take the course. Maybe a better, I think, explanation would be a revision of American history taught in schools. Like, the whitewashed version of history that I learned in Berkeley Public Schools, I mean, it was so strange to watch it all. I mean, it's basically just like hearing these stories of like literal colonizers who have just taken land from everyone. And then it starts talking about their wives and families and shit. And it shows statues of them. And you just kind of sit there. You're like, what the fuck does this have to do with me? And how did I get here? Because I'm not a part of this story at all. And then that's when you start to have this like come to truth moment when you're like, wait, I don't look like them, I don't talk like them, I'm not in the story, but somehow magically I was like transposed out of the sky to be here and they gave me a passport. And you're like, this can't be true. And then you turn to your Googles and you're like, you go to college and they literally make you read Howard Zinn. It's like lies my teacher told me and all this other shit. It's like, why not just start the story with like, we wanted money, capitalism. Then we just like took shit from everybody else and now we're the winners. Cause like if in reality, that's what happened, right? And maybe it's not nice to say that, but you also have to talk about slavery without talking about how black people like to be enslaved. Kanye West. They should really revise the course and just introduce some Kanye quotes. Like, the niggers loved being enslaved. They were sitting there with whips and chains. They loved colonial. Like, come on, bro. Like, I can't even. This is very interesting though, because I would definitely agree. Like, the woke left or whatever, all of it has gone so far. I mean, the radical conservatives on one side, the extreme woke liberals on the other. Both people have fallen all the way off the cliff with the argument. The Bible Beckies and the like he, she, they, thems on both sides are like way overboard. Like, it's just gone so far. And I really feel like at this point, college is not. Oh, I'm sorry. So I was actually going to comment on that one last part. So we were talking about culture for a second and then talking about race for a second. Like, how do people start to understand like their place in the world as an adult? It's by like talking to other people, like working with other people, having some like shared goal. But I think many of y'all don't realize like some people have never had any experience with anyone outside of their racial group ever. Like, wait, draw the line. That was the dot. That was the end of the sentence. That is not a hot take. That's actually the truth. And I think that I feel like myself and Camille have been saying this for so long. Like, you get accustomed to being the black person in white spaces, and you start to hear it from the other side. This is why I had to make that entire video that was like, at least black people are finally talking. I don't really give a shit what they're saying at this point. Some people have these very strange takes. Like, the conversations with the black male, those are fucking weird conversations, and his take is like not popular. It's not like, go listen to like any other black people, they'll be like, no, we don't agree with this. Like, he made that whole shit to try to be like comfortable to like a few white people who are listening to him, but like, he is not Martin Luther King or something. Like, his take is not like, I don't have that experience. Like, what he said is not my reality. I don't really understand actually where he's coming from. But he does, and that's why he can make that video and it's real to him. And there's some other males like Matthew McConaughey who listened to it, and then like they got what he was, how do you say, they accepted what he was serving. Like, he made the meal for them, which is like his YouTube propaganda of whatever the fuck he was saying. I don't listen to that, so I couldn't put it into words for you. But whatever he's saying, there's somebody who it was intended for, and they received it and they liked it, and that's true for him. It's just like not representative of black Americans, all black Americans, Nigerian Americans, Nigeria, Africa as a continent. Like, he's just one dude with a YouTube channel in the same way that like I'm like one, you see what I'm saying? I feel like that's the part where people are not connecting. And then the thing is, like, how do you even make decisions to like go places, right? The big idea is like, oh, well, my friends go to this place, and so I'm going to go too. So when you have like all the conservatives who are like, we're all going to go to Vassar, and you have all the liberals who are like, we're all going to go to Berkeley. That's exactly what happens. And we start to divide the country. So we literally have like the liberal lefties in California and the conservative crackies in Florida. And now this is what we have. Like, this is what the country is. And I don't actually know if that's a problem. Like, some of the people who are living in Florida and who feel these ways, like, I don't want to live near them. I don't want to advise anybody to go to college with them. I don't want to have no debates. But also the extreme liberals, like, y'all, I had to leave the space. Like, this is not about diversity and inclusion. Like, I think what the Wine and Girl Chill has a video that's like diversity and she kind of unpacks it. Like, diversity and inclusion is literally about, we should call it like making Karens comfortable. Like, this has nothing to do with like black people in the workplace or really any people of color in the workplace. It literally has to do with making HR Karens comfortable. It's like, how can we start to like, I don't even know how to explain it. I feel like the Wine and Chill girl does a way better job of explaining this than I could ever. But like, I don't know why people keep calling it diversity and inclusion. It's not. There's also just all this shit about like class and race that are so strange. Like, the real big problems are coming from the people who've never, like, there are black people in this country right now who have no family members who have ever stepped foot on a college campus and who can't read. And that's real. Like, I keep talking about the racialization of literacy because like little black boys in America can't read. And there's not another thing. Like, there's a couple, you might know 3 with like podcasts and YouTube channels. But remember 3 months ago when Kanye West was making songs about how he doesn't believe in reading out of school? And people were sending their actual children to his school where they don't read. I mean, the lunacy of it all. Like, this was really happening until someone decided it was a good idea to shut the bullshit down. But he'd been going on. The school was open for 3 or 4 years. Like, some people were attending every day. Like, I don't know. I think The Economist is onto something here. I think it makes some good points. I wish they would stop using terms that don't apply, though. Like, African American history is American history, as in, like, there are black people who were stolen from Africa who helped build the country, and they were enslaved. That's not a hot take. That isn't political. That's, like, what really happened, and you don't need an African American history course to teach you that fact. if you don't understand that slavery is not nice and it isn't positive, and the people who were enslaved didn't get no money, so then they don't have no generational wealth, that's what all the illiterate black people are trying to say. They just don't have the vocabulary to put those thoughts together and see how they flow in a sequence. Here's the big take. Enslaved for like, what, 500 years, made absolutely no money at all, and were exploited. Their labor was exploited, right? So then one day, they had to start participating in capitalism where they earned money and then used that money to buy something. So they had to like learn how to maneuver capitalism in the free world while also being racialized. Now that's like the story, and that's where we are now. And we literally have to have the podcast bros to tell you how to spend a dollar because that's where we are. Like I don't know what else to say. Go listen to some actual continental Africans talk to you about like colonialism and how awful it's been being on the continent. Like I had to make that whole like Habesha exploration series so y'all could go hear what these bitches are saying. They speak like 16 languages and have been translating this shit the entire time. Like I don't even know. Like it I really feel like the global view, how can you put it? Like, being a global citizen is a thing. And also being like a black person in the free world, in the developed world, is a thing. But also being like a female in the world with ideas is a thing. And I do know that all of that in sequence is like way too complicated for some people to get on board with because they are legitimately stuck in like 1942. And I can't help you. I don't have no advice. I don't have no recommendations. If you don't feel me, this channel is not for you. Please unsubscribe, go elsewhere. But also, and I've said this before, if you have hate comments, please put them in the description box. I don't filter them. I respond to them. I can't like, if y'all don't understand, like, I'm permanently banned from Twitter. Like, I can't get on ever. They let Donald Trump back on. I can't get on ever. Like, all of my domains have been blocked. So if you want to know a hot take in cancel culture, I feel like they should put a big ass picture of my fucking face there. Like, there is just no, like, I'm here for it. If you actually have something to say and you have like a part of the conversation that you would like to contribute to, bring it here. Like, this is a safe space for that. All right.